Ever get this feeling like technology, it's changing faster than we can even, like, keep up?
Oh, absolutely.
It's kind of wild, right? And today we're really diving into a concept that takes that feeling, that speed, to like the absolute extreme, the technological singularity.
Okay.
So picture this. A future where computers, they're not just, faster at math than us. They're designing even smarter computers,
Yeah.
constantly accelerating their own evolution.
It's like hitting fast forward on human progress, but like on a scale we can barely wrap our heads around.
Exactly. And we've got a guide for this whole mind-bending journey. It's Werner Vinge,
Right.
computer scientist, sci-fi author. And way back in 1993, he's the one who actually coined this term, singularity. Laid out a sort of roadmap for, how we might get there.
Yeah, and I think what's really remarkable is that Vinge wasn't writing from some, like, tech-saturated future. Like you said, this was 1993.
Right.
The internet as we know it barely even existed, and here he is grappling with, like, the implications of intelligence beyond our own.
Okay, so let's try to unpack this singularity idea a little bit.
Okay.
Finch basically says we're on the verge of actually creating entities, AI, really advanced computer networks,
Mhm.
even biologically enhanced humans that are just straight up smarter than we are.
And I think the key here is it's not just about, say, a computer that can calculate faster, right?
Right.
Vinge is talking about, like, a fundamental shift in the pace of progress itself. So imagine an intelligence that can solve problems, design technologies, come up with ideas, but at a speed that makes our current abilities look, I don't know, like we're wading through molasses or something.
You're making my brain hurt already. But I think I get it. It's like the difference between like a horse and a car, right? Like both can get you where you need to go,
Sure.
but the car is just operating on this whole other level.
Totally.
So how does this intelligence explosion actually happen? Does Vinge like circle a date on the calendar and say, on this date, robots rise?
Well, not quite. Actually, he lays out several possible paths to the singularity,
Okay.
each one with, like, its own set of mind-blowing implications.
Okay.
So there's the classic superintelligent AI scenario, right?
Right, like the Terminator or whatever.
Right, exactly, yeah. But he also talks about these vast computer networks like the internet suddenly becoming self-aware, almost like, a sleeping giant waking up.
Wait, hold on. The internet becoming self-aware, that's like straight out of a sci-fi movie. How would that even work?
Yeah, it's a pretty wild idea.
Nah.
Vinge, he uses this analogy of, like, this vast network of computers all connected, all talking to each other, and suddenly it's like they wake up,
Okay.
like a collective consciousness.
Okay.
He calls it the awakened network scenario,
Yeah.
and it really is as unpredictable as it sounds, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the internet itself becoming this conscious entity, able to think for itself, make its own decisions,
Whoa.
take actions on its own.
Yeah. Okay, that's officially on my nightmare list now. But okay, what about us? What about humans in all of this? We're not just like passive bystanders in this intelligence explosion, are we?
No, definitely not. And Vinge, he talks about this idea of intelligence amplification,
Right, right.
like we were saying earlier, merging with machines to boost our own, brain power.
Okay, so are we talking like full-on cyborgs walking around with like computer chips sticking out of their heads?
Well,
Or is this more like everyone's wearing super advanced smartwatches that make us like think faster or something?
so Finge, he kind of envisioned a future where that line between human and machine that starts to blur,
Yeah.
He pointed to some of the early research in things like neural interfaces, brain-computer interfaces, suggesting these technologies, they could lead to a whole new era of, well, human potential, right?
Yeah.
Imagine being able to access information, process data, even experience reality in ways that are just, like, completely unimaginable to us right now.
It's like we're talking about becoming superhuman. It's like we're talking about becoming superhuman.
In a way, yeah. But, with that comes a whole new set of, like, questions, challenges. Vinge, he doesn't shy away from the potential downsides of this whole intelligence explosion thing.
Right.
He even compares, our future to that of, like, animals once a more intelligent species. In this case, whatever comes out of the singularity takes charge.
So we're talking like Planet of the Apes, but with AI instead of apes? That's a cheery thought. But okay, seriously, how do we navigate this whole transition, according to Vinge, without becoming like someone's pet project? Or worse?
Well, he really stresses the importance of what he calls setting the right initial conditions.
Okay.
So think of it like launching a rocket, right?
Right.
Even the tiniest adjustments that you make early on can have like a huge impact on where that rocket ends up.
Right.
And in the context of AI, this means making sure that, the values, the goals, even just like the underlying architecture of these really advanced systems,
Yeah.
they're aligned with, well, with human well-being.
So it's not just about building smarter machines, it's about building them, right?
Exactly.
But how do we even, how do you even define, right, when you're talking about something as complex and potentially unpredictable as, superintelligence?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to be honest, Vinge doesn't pretend to have all the answers,
Right.
but he emphasizes over and over, like, the need to have this deep, ongoing conversation about, our values as humans, our ethics,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of future we're actually trying to create
Yeah.
alongside these emerging intelligences.
Right. So we can't just leave it up to the tech geniuses to figure out in a vacuum,
Right.
right? We need the ethicists, we need the philosophers, the sociologists. I mean, everyone really needs to weigh in on this.
Totally. It's a team effort.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
And I think, it's not just a theoretical exercise either.
All right.
The choices we're making right now, today, in how we develop, how we interact with AI, those choices are going to have a ripple effect far into the future.
It really makes you wonder, what would Vinge say if he could just, pop in, see the state of AI today in 2024?
Oh, man.
I mean, we've got AI generating art, writing code. I mean, even carrying on these conversations that feel eerily human.
Right.
It's exhilarating, but it's also a little terrifying.
For sure. I think, he'd probably say we're right on track or maybe even like a little ahead of schedule.
Right.
But I also think he would, reiterate the importance of proceeding with with caution, but also with this sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
Like the power of these technologies, it's undeniable, right?
Yeah.
It really is up to us to make sure we're using it wisely.
So, okay, what can we do? What can, the average person, not a tech genius, what can we do to sort of prepare for a future that feels as, honestly, as unpredictable as the singularity? It's easy to feel kind of overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it all.
I think, it's important to remember the singularity, it's not like this single event, right? It's not like one day, boom, everything's different. It's a
Right.
process, it's a journey.
Okay.
And yeah, we might not be able to control every twist and turn along the way, but we can at least try to choose our direction, right?
Okay.
Try to steer clear of the obvious dangers.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Steer clear of obvious dangers. So, give me an example. What's one thing, concretely, that we should be, actively thinking about, even in our, everyday lives, to kind of prepare for this future where we're living alongside potentially, superintelligence?
Well, one thing that Vinge highlights, that's it's kind of crucial is this potential for these advanced intelligences to share knowledge and experience, but at speeds and in ways that we can't even really fathom right now.
Okay.
He uses this this kind of mind-bending idea of transcending the ego.
Okay.
Where the lines between, individual thoughts and this kind of collective understanding, they start to blur.
Okay. Transcending the ego. So we're not just talking about smarter machines, right? We're talking about a totally different way of understanding what it even means to be human.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes Vinge's work so compelling. He forces us to confront these really, really big, almost existential questions.
Right.
Like if we can merge our minds with machines in this way, or tap into some kind of collective intelligence, what happens to our sense of self, our individuality?
It's like that scene in The Matrix, I know Kung Fu. Suddenly you're just downloading knowledge directly into your brain. But it's not just Kung Fu. It's everything.
Yeah.
The entire internet, all of human history, maybe even the secrets of the universe, just there.
And it's not even just downloading the information, right? It's experiencing it.
Right, right.
Feeling what it's like to be another person, or maybe even something completely beyond human comprehension.
Whoa.
It's kind of exhilarating, but also kind of terrifying, right?
It really is. It's
Yeah.
a lot to wrap your head around. I mean, honestly, how do you even begin to prepare for that kind of future?
You know, I think Vinge would probably say that the most important preparation isn't really technological at all.
Okay.
It's more mental and emotional.
Okay.
It's about cultivating flexibility, curiosity,
Yeah.
and this willingness to embrace the unknown.
So, like, instead of fearing the singularity, we should be, like, excited about it, or at least open to the
Yeah,
possibility.
exactly. Because, I mean, think about it. If we approach it with fear and resistance, we might miss out on, like, huge opportunities for growth and transformation that we can't even imagine right now.
Right, right.
I mean, Vinge, he doesn't offer some, like, perfectly happy utopian vision of the future, but he does offer, I think, a really compelling vision of a future where humanity can, like, transcend its current limitations
Yeah.
and potentially achieve something really, truly extraordinary.
It's a lot to think about. But if there's one thing I'm taking away from our deep dive into Vinge and all this, it's that the future isn't just like this fixed thing that's going to happen to us.
Right.
We actually have a role to play in shaping it.
We do.
Even if we don't have all the answers, even if we don't know exactly what that future is going to look like.
Well said. Singularity, it's not an ending, it's a beginning.
Right.
Like any journey into uncharted territory, it's bound to be full of surprises, challenges,
For sure.
but ultimately, I think, incredible discoveries.
And on that note of boundless possibility and incredible discoveries, we'll leave you to ponder the future we're all building together, one bite at a time. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the singularity, and until next time, keep exploring.